We're on the Richardson family farm in Waupaca, Wisconsin. The Richardsons were dairy farmers for many years, but as they got older, they chose to go into 100% grass feeding of beef. And they've got a very good market for their finished product. This video is basically showing the Einbach PNEUMATICSTAR in action on their farm. This is the day it arrived. As I recall, it was someday in April, possibly late March. There was still some snow in some of the ditch banks. Now, Art bought the machine for overseeding and for new seeding, but the day the machine arrived, he did not have any seed to put in the seed box. So he chose to just use it as a rake that day until the seed arrived. Because you have to rake the fields clean of thatch before you turn the seeder on. You have to make sure you're not accumulating and carrying thatch before you turn the seed mechanism on. By the way, the actual seed metering system is made in Switzerland, and it's the most accurate in the world right now. If you want 15 pounds to the acre of seed, you will get that, and it's very easy to calibrate, and it's done with a piece of a plastic bowl and a bathroom scale, and it's trial and error, but it's very, very quick. That wheel on the right hand side nearest the tractor tire is the drive wheel for the seeding mechanism. But I have to tell you, as I say, there is no seed going through it right now. All we're doing is we're raking the pasture. It is just amazing the growth response you get from just raking this thatch, this dead grass, loose from the soil. And if there's a lot of it, use the machine like a buck rake to get it away from the growing grass, get it off the field, to the edge of the field, in a hole, in a ditch, whatever you want to do with it, just get it away from the growing grass. Later on in this video, you'll see where we gather some substantial amounts of uneaten forage and drop it like a buck rake into some depressions in the field. You'll see here there's a leveling bar in the front of the machine that's not being utilized. It's in the raised position. You would lower that if you've got a problem with gopher mounds, ant hills, mole hills. I think it's a little bit light duty for prairie dog homes, but if there's a big pile of manure without a lot of uneaten forage, it'll distribute the manure nicely. But here we're scattering the manure, and we're pulling up thatch. And Art has farmed this ground for many years, and he could not believe the yield response, the growth response to just raking. He's seen some species he's not seen for years, and a volume of growth. And he was scientific in his comparison between areas where he raked and where he did not rake in order to make these claims, to remove weather as a factor. You can see the rakes are at an aggressive angle right now. In fact, there are 5 different levels of adjustment. Art is starting to raise the machine for transport. One side comes up, and then the other side comes in. And when it's all up and together for transport, it's no more than 10 feet going down the road. This meets European transportation requirements. The machine that Art has to create the pressure in the seed tank to distribute the soil is PTO driven. Others are electric, where there are 2 electric fans, and another version is hydraulic powering the fan. We're now in a different paddock. This was his winter sacrifice paddock, where a tremendous number of round bales were fed. If you see right here, we're gathering a lot of this uneaten forage and manure, and he's gathering it to drop it in a certain location in the field where it's sort of out of the way. He's got some dirt baths, if you will, that the animals have dug, where they sort of lay in there and flop around and coat themselves with a soil that is for fly control, we assume, or parasite control. They just know that rolling in that ground is good for them. They like the feel of it. But he's dumping the hay in those holes. Now, this is just the first trip over. I've not had a chance to speak with Art about a strategy here. So we're seemingly going on without doing a really good job. Well, after we stopped and came up with a strategy, that's when things were put either to the edge of the field, in windrows, or in those holes that were in the field. But as I say, we're just getting used to the machine. But Art was just astounded with the growth response to this pasture through nothing more than raking. Here you see there's a tremendous amount of manure scattered all over the field. In some areas you can pick out exactly where the round bales were fed. And there was a pasture walk later in the year. It was September, October, and he defied anyone to find an area where a round bale had been fed. On top of that, some of the windrows that we made had disappeared entirely. The plan was to bale them off the field. It never happened. And basically, because when they were raked, there was plenty of soil mixed in with the uneaten forage. There was plenty of manure. They actually decomposed above ground. Had I not seen it, I never would have believed it, but it happened. So the machine that Art bought for overseeding, unfortunately, that first spring, he just did not have the seed. He never overseeded at all. So all the growth response was exclusively from raking all of his pastures. Now, he did use it in new seeding, and he seeded oats in one operation, and then he emptied the hopper and then put in alfalfa with rye. And according to him, it was one of the best seedings he's ever had, both with the oats that he grew as a nurse crop, and with the final stand of alfalfa and ryegrass. Again, here you'll see us going through an area where round bales have been fed, and we gather a considerable amount of undecomposed. There's a big pile. Okay, he came back later and was able to carry that pile over to where he wanted it, so that the machine eventually was running clean over most of the field. And he deposited this material in another area where he wanted it. Its decomposition is a natural process, and you want it to take place. But healthy grass would rather have decomposition take place elsewhere than bring that compost back once it's completed. Again, here you'll see the machine is just totally full of undecomposed, uneaten forage. But with the strategy, in fact, some of the parts of the field we made our deposits every 25 feet. Please come back and watch part 2, which is an interview with Art Richardson on his use of this machine. What you see is this is the use of it raking, in the interview, which takes place nearly a year later, he fully discusses all the results he's seen using the machine. By the way, this is a 20-foot seeder that costs roughly $20,000 set up the way it is. So it's not only the most accurate, it's one of the lowest cost seeders available today.